YouTube was in with it. Um, everybody's now talking down on Bud Crawford and degrading him because he had a close fight with a boxer. That word is very important. It's gonna be important in this video. A boxer. Bullshit. Julio Chavez talks Canelo versus Crawford. Now I haven't heard his words, but what I do know is a lot of people are talking down on Crawford like he can't beat Canelo. And to be honest, at 168, I don't think he can either because Canelo's been at that division for a while, a good amount of time. He became undisputed at that division, and Crawford is a small 154 pounder. Terence Crawford's max might be 160 or 159 as a fighter. So if he were to fight Canelo, they would have to meet at a catch weight because it doesn't make sense to fight him at 68 because he's no longer undisputed. So it don't make sense to go all the way up there just to get beat on by a power puncher and try to survive. I understand he would try to box him, and it probably would be interesting. Probably could box, but Canelo would try to seek and destroy like a dickhead. So it'll be interesting, you know. That dynamic would be interesting. If Canelo tries to seek and destroy Bud, can Bud put him on his ass? Or will that power be too devastating? Because Bud's style is not as defensive as Floyd, and we saw Floyd destroy Canelo. Canelo struggles against pure boxers, especially defensive guys or guys who can control the line like Bo. Terence Crawford, he's gonna transition from defense to offense. You know, he's gonna transition. He's gonna block, slip, and he's gonna come back with his own offense. But that might play into Canelo's hands. Let's get. I'm talking to my man.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So that clip right there was the clip of the crowd that came to watch Terence Crawford versus Madrimov, a crowd that...
Bro, you can see how much bigger Majimov is. He carry his weight well. I want to say, this where a lot of that weight at. Look at Terrence's bicep and tricep and shoulders compared to Majimov's shoulders, way bigger, bicep way bigger, tricep way bigger. You know, so yeah, he was the bigger man, which is obvious since he's comfortable in that division. And Crawford came up from 130. You know, he a lean, muscular guy. Majimov is a big, thick body. You know what I'm saying? Swimmer build, you know. He built like he eat grits and oats and grains and shit. You know, cornbread fed is what I want to say. Big country Russian man, you know. But Terence Crawford, the country boy himself, from the Midwest, Omaha, Nebraska. It is what it is.
was saturated with American superstars. The only other fighter that brings out that many superstars,
This
I'm
tank.
talking about NBA players, football players, actors, etc., is Gervonta Tank Davis. With that being said, one of the spectators that was there watching the fight was the legend Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. Senior, who admits that Terence Crawford is pound for pound the best fighter in the world, he was asked to give his take on a possible fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. And his exact words was bullshit. From where can Crawford beat Canelo? Chavez clearly feels that Crawford has no chance against Canelo Alvarez, and I think a lot of people, they feel the same way, especially after his performance against a much bigger, stronger Madrimov at a higher weight class. Terence Crawford is 37 years old, and he just moved up to his fourth weight class. And that was the first time I've ever seen Crawford look outweighed. I mean, actually look like the smaller guy in the ring. During the fight, from certain angles, you could just see how much wider Madrimov's back was compared to Crawford's body. So just imagine him moving up 2 weight classes more.
Nah,
Crawford...
he definitely shouldn't move up 2 weight classes. But I think we're conflating size with skill. Now, size is the only thing that can negate a big skill advantage. If you're much bigger than a guy, then you can negate the skill that he has. That's probably one of the only things that can do that. Um, but Crawford, it wouldn't make sense to fight at 68 because he was playing And when they say he can't beat Canelo, put context in it. Say at 68. Pound for pound, Bud is better than Canelo, meaning if they weigh the same shit, Bud beats him. And in the beginning, I mentioned boxer was going to be important. Majimov is a boxer. Canelo is a striker. Canelo wants to punch you and knock you out. Bud can do both. Bud is a boxer puncher. Canelo is a striker. Majimov is a boxer. I didn't see a lot of crazy striking from him. He's a boxer. You know, he a boxer. Canelo a striker, or he a puncher. And Bud is a boxer puncher. He got the best of both worlds. So I think his style is too advanced for Canelo. But the only thing when they say he can't beat Canelo, the only thing they say is size. What technically can Bud do that Canelo can't? Bud can strike better than Canelo. He can box better than Canelo. What can he not do? Except outweigh Canelo. That's the only thing he can't do, outweigh Canelo. But who the fuck cares?
would be at a massive disadvantage. Now, if Crawford and Canelo were naturally the same weight in the same weight class, Crawford, he would knock out Canelo hands down. But he specializes in knocking out fighters that have never been knocked out before. A lot of them hadn't even been knocked down before. In fact, I'll go even a step further. If Madrimov and Canelo were the same weight naturally in the same weight class, Madrimov, he would beat Canelo Alvarez. Probably stop him. I don't know if he would stop him, but he would definitely beat Canelo. Because Canelo, he's too predictable and he's too flat-footed. I had already told you guys going into this fight that this is going to be a very difficult fight for Terence Crawford when it comes to Madrimov. This man has over 350 amateur fights. He's from Uzbekistan, which are some of the best amateur fighters. In recent years, next to Cuba, they've been winning the most gold medals. Madrimov, who actually helped Arthur Beterbiev prepare for Canelo, he sparred with him, has a very high boxing IQ, as we've seen in the Crawford fight. Although Madrimov didn't really let his hands go that much in the Crawford fight, and the reason why he didn't let his hands go that much, because he knew that Crawford was going to open up with counters and possibly catch him with something and knock him out. He was aware of this. In fact, there were a couple times when Madrimov was actually hurt in the fight, but every time he got hurt, he would tie up Crawford right away, which is pretty ironic because Crawford is the smaller guy, the much smaller guy. You would expect the small guy to be tying up the big guy. That just further shows you how dangerous Crawford is, even at 154, at a weight disadvantage or size disadvantage. But when it comes to Crawford moving up 2 more weight classes to fight Canelo at 168, that might be too much. Crawford is hands down the better fighter in every department, but he would put himself at a massive disadvantage to move all the way up to 168. Turkey Al-Sheikh, he already...
Yeah, Dante, pretty much me and him on the same page. He the better boxer, more complete boxer puncher, but he would be at a terrible disadvantage fighting Canelo moving up 2 weight classes. That would be ridiculous. I understand chasing greatness, but if you really want to fight him, I would say negotiate a catch weight, maybe go up an extra 5, 10 pounds, and let Canelo come down 5, 10 pounds, and y'all meet somewhere in the middle instead of you going all the way up and him being comfortable. Fuck no. Yeah, me and Dante have the same sentiments pretty much for Bud versus Canelo. But what I can say is watching Bush you do his pad work, I like how efficient he is in his pad work. He's all about landing his punches. He's not trying to throw his hardest punches on the mitts. I've seen a lot of boxers try to throw their hardest punches on the mitts, um, but not practice accuracy. Accuracy is where the knockouts come. If you're powerful, that's what people don't understand. If you're naturally talented, then that natural talent is always going to be there. You don't have to force it. If you're strong, you're going to be strong. If you're fast, you're going to be fast. You're quick, you're going to be quick. You're explosive, you're going to be explosive. If you're training, train accuracy, train effectiveness. Tank knows how explosive he is, which is why he focuses on punching with accuracy. If Tank tried to punch hard, he would probably miss a lot of shots. Wouldn't knock people out because they would see the wind up, they would see the intent. But he punches with quickness and accuracy because he's naturally heavy handed. So yeah.
how dangerous Crawford is, even at 154, at a weight dis every department, but he would put him versus Virgil Ortiz, which would be a huge fight, especially considering the fact that in the sport of boxing, race sells. That's why I always tell you guys, the sport is based on race, nationality, and pride. This is why Floyd Mayweather made a career beating up Mexican fighters on Mexican holidays. because he knew the Mexicans would come out and support their fighter and actually start to believe that the Mexican fighter has a chance of winning the fight just off of Mexican pride alone. I remember Juan Manuel Marquez, he was asked, why is he going to beat Floyd Mayweather? And Marquez, he said, I'm going to beat him because I'm Mexican. And that's the kind of pride that sells a fight. I think when it comes to Terence Crawford, what he should do, if he's not going to fight against Canelo Alvarez, he should set his sights on being a third division undisputed champion at 154 and then retire. And then you have Jaron Ennis. Jaron is fighting at 147. Now, and I don't think Jaron wants to move up to 154, but if Jaron does move up to 154, I think he should fight for one of the belts. And then once he wins the belt, fight Terence Crawford for undisputed. Now, if Terence Crawford was younger, I would say that Jaron Ennis, he should become undisputed at 147, then move up to 154 and fight Terence Crawford for all the belts. With
Yeah,
that
but
being
Terence
said, I'm going to
Crawford
wrap
ain't
this
getting no
video up.
younger.
That's all I got for now, guys.
Hey, shout out to Dante. That was a good point. Since Bud is so old, it don't make if Boots really want that fight, it don't make sense to stay at 147 for too long. You know, if he really want to be undisputed, he can move up to 54. Fight. He can activate his mandatory for the IBF and become IBF champ. Ultimately, forcing Bud or Errol or anybody who's champ to have to go through him to be undisputed, which will ultimately lead to a collision course between Boots and Bud, which would be a spectacle for the sport, which would be amazing for the sport. Between two skilled, physically athletic guys, Boots being younger, more fresh, Bud being more experienced, more technical, would make for a huge draw, a big spectacle for the sport. But I do think, man, you know, Julio said bullshit Canelo versus Crawford fight. Of course you're gonna say that he's Mexican, but size don't mean you're untouchable, you know. Uh, Bud has conquered four weight divisions. At this point, he the king of the world, undisputed in two of them. You know, three division, four division champ. Dude is a legend, bro. He already a Hall of Fame. He a walking Hall of Famer, and so is Canelo. But Canelo hasn't done what Bud has done, and being bigger don't mean being more skilled. And I guarantee you, if Canelo was 154 pounds, he wouldn't want to fight Crawford. But with that being said, man, like, comment, subscribe, and share this, man. We're on the road to 2K subs. Till next time, man.